Welcome to Newton Economics. I'm Corey Newton. Today we are celebrating two things. The first of which is the establishment of Newton Economics Office of Asymmetric Information. And the second thing is the return of the Nevele CEO, Michael Trainer. So in order to get this celebration going, we're going to construct a four-tiered asymmetric information cake, which we're going to ice in paradoxical logic. So if you wish to prepare to participate in this interactive video and presentation, the link is below me. Do whatever you need to do to get it going, maximize your utility, or you can choose to ignore it. While you get either prepared to participate or continue to ignore it, we're going to set the table of what we're talking about here. Last year in New York State, the people were starving for jobs and starving for tax relief. So they came up with a plan to change the rules of the game, to change the New York State Constitution to allow casino gaming. And this legislation passed through the Assembly and the Senate and was signed by the governor and went to the people as a referendum in November 2013. The people overwhelmingly supported job creation and tax relief. And the problem is there's a lot of asymmetric information associated with this, if you're surprised by that. The market structure that was created to accommodate casino gaming was a market structure of differentiated oligopoly and monopolistic competition. And while you're either ignoring or preparing the document, we're going to read right out of the microeconomics textbook about differentiated oligopoly and monopolistic competition and why your friendly neighborhood economist is concerned about it. Oligopoly, a Greek word meaning few sellers. When you think of big business, you are thinking of oligopoly, an industry dominated by just a few firms. Perhaps 3 or 4 account for more than half the industry supply, which we have. They're talking 7 casinos over 7 years, 10 years is what they're talking. Oligopoly. And one of the two main characteristics of oligopoly are legal restrictions and high barriers to entry. Now let's get into what a differentiated oligopoly is. A differentiated oligopoly sells products that differ across producers, such as Toyota Camry versus Honda Accord. Oligopolists differentiate their products through physical qualities, sales locations, services offered with the products, and the image of the product established in the consumer's mind. So the product we're talking about is casino gaming. The physical qualities of each casino is going to differ. The location of each casino is going to differ. The services offered with the product of casino gaming is going to differ. And the image of the product established in the consumer's mind is going to differ. So let's just say legal restrictions. The Constitution had to be changed, and it set up this system to where there's high barriers of entry. There's $1 million for the application. Otherwise, I would apply to start a casino in my garage. I would put in an application and apply to have a casino in my garage, but I can't because it's $1 million just for the application. So that's a high barrier to entry. I can't reach that barrier to entry. I mean, the same thing is true of banks. If I could just start a bank in my garage where I could sell derivatives, I could sell credit default swaps, and I could set up sovereign wealth funds, I would do it. But I can't. Why can't I? Because there are legal restrictions and high barriers of entry to be able to do it. So that's the nature of the differentiated oligopoly that we're facing. Monopolistic competition. Why do I say, well, how can you have a differentiated oligopoly and at the same time have monopolistic competition? Because the market structure, the differentiated oligopoly market structure is going to expand in 7 years. So when it expands in 7 years, there's going to be casinos open up closer to New York City and actually in New York City. And what is the concern with monopolistic competition? Zero economic profit in the long run. Now, how could you have a business that has zero economic profit in the long run? Well, let me explain. Monopolistically competitive firms earn zero economic profit in the long run. Because new entrants into the market offer similar products, They draw customers away from other firms in the market. So when all this tourism, everybody's leaving Central Park to come up 90 miles north of Central Park. They go up 87, they take 17 west, they take 209 north to come to the Nevele. 7 years from now, there's going to be casinos in the city and right above the city. So because new entrants offer similar products, they draw customers away from other firms in the market, thereby reducing the demand facing other firms. Entry continues in the long run until economic profit disappears. So let's start building this cake. Hopefully you're either still ignoring or you've prepared your documents. The first one is going to be jobs. Construction and hotel jobs. Here we go. Here's our document. Number 1. The casino plan proposed by the owner of the former Nevele Hotel is Ulster County's best chance for getting state-sanctioned gaming hall and could end unemployment in Ellenville in our lifetime. Now, what they don't tell you is the differentiated oligopoly monopolistic competition market structure has rules, legal restrictions. So the way it was written, every person applying for a casino license has to demonstrate harmony. Harmony is the exact word they use, with labor unions. So what does that mean? That means signing project labor agreements. Okay, what's that? A project labor agreement says we're going to use union labor, and the ratio and the grievance process and all this, but the most important thing is a ratio between the amount of workers from the company who can work on the job and the amount of people from the union that can work on the job. So where does that put everybody that's not in the union? So, all these jobs are coming. Okay, I want a job at construction. Well, you need to join the labor union or the whatever union. Okay, well, how do I do that? You need to go over to Newburgh and sign up and go take a bunch of classes. And then you're going to become an apprentice. And because so many people in the union have time above you and probably applied to work at the Nevele, you're an apprentice. Where are you going? You're going to work on the tunnel leak, going from Newburgh to Royston. So you can get down and work in the tunnel as an apprentice and pay your dues and work up, and maybe you can work in the Nevele, and you're dealing with, what are you dealing with in the tunnel? Arsenic, chromium, and thallium, high levels of that in the water tunnels. So you can go fix a tunnel, and everybody else who's been in and paid their dues, and they're not apprentices, they can go and work at the Nevele. Asymmetric information that they won't release. The next thing, the next layer of the cake. We're going to go to the other layer of the cake. Hotel jobs. Okay, I want to work in a hotel. All right, well, you need to join a union because we signed project labor agreements with the Hotel Motel Union. 16% of Ulster County is unionized. 16%. So we're talking all these jobs, well, only 16% is union. So all the people who are in union either have to join a union or they're not going to get those jobs. Asymmetric information nobody wants to release. And later in the document, I've been on this asymmetric train for a while, and it's all referenced all around this website down at the bottom, everything I'm saying. So, all right, let's move on. Number 2, we have the perfect product. We're close to New York City. We are in the Catskills. We are in upstate New York. We become a gateway to all of upstate New York, which is precisely the intent of the casino legislation. Yeah, well, you also become a gateway 5 miles down the road from me, so a round trip is 6 miles into nuclear, biological, and chemical contamination. That's another gateway nobody wants to talk about. 3, Hine, supportive Nevele plan. Spitzer said, it's an open market, everybody has a right to compete, and I guess the best man will win. Well, we've already shown in differentiated oligopoly that there are legal restrictions and high barriers to entry, so much for your open market thesis. So hotel, construction jobs, tier 1 of our cake. Second tier of our cake is jobs in gaming. Now there's a bunch of educational requirements being worked out between consultants from the Nevele and every other casino and the local colleges, SUNY Ulster, SUNY Sullivan. And nobody knows what these are. So let's say you have your single mother with 2 kids in Ellenville who's working 2 part-time jobs, and going to SUNY Ulster part-time to get an associate's degree in business. So she's taken some accounting, she's taken some entry-level finance, little business law, and she supports the casino because she thinks she can get a job there dealing blackjack or running a roulette table, or maybe in the back office going ahead and crunching these numbers. Nobody knows what these educational requirements are, so she may be in line, but we have to assume the casino goes through. So by the time it goes through and, I've completed my associate's degree in business, now all of a sudden we have all these gaming and hospitality prerequisites that we need to have. So she tries to sign up to get in, to get a job at the Nevele, and 6 months, 12 months, 18-month waiting list to apply for these classes. What does she do in the meantime? She's been promised jobs, promised you ending unemployment in her lifetime. Asymmetric information. Release of project labor agreements for hotel and construction jobs. Release of educational requirements being developed in accordance with SUNY Ulster and SUNY Sullivan for the gaming jobs. And it doesn't look like I'm going to make this through, so I'm going to have to do another video, but stay tuned. We'll use the same information, say the same thoughts. Tax relief. Tax relief. Now, they're looking to debt finance $400 million to get this thing off the ground. $400 million. Textbook finance, financial management. Now, the market structure is going to expand in 7 years. So what is very important to understand is all this debt financing going to be paid off within that 7-year period. Capital budgeting decision methods. We're just going to basic one. One of the simplest capital budgeting decision methods is the payback period. To use it, analysts find a project's payback period, the number of time periods it will take before the cash inflows of a proposed project equal the amount of initial project investment. So you're borrowing $400 million to get this thing off the ground. Will it be paid back in 7 years before the market structure expands? That's a question I've been asking since November when it got passed. I've been asking that question. How to calculate the payback period? To calculate the payback period, simply add up a project's projected positive cash flows, one period at a time, until the sum equals the amount of the project's initial investment. What's the payback period? And why is it so important? I'll tell you why it's so important. So that was our tax relief tier. And now we're going to get into reval tier. We're going to the 4th level of this cake. And then we're going to get ready to ice it with paradoxical information. Here we go. Mayor of Ellenville, Jeffrey Kaplan, in the last issue of the paper for the election last year. A reval. What a reval is, we have a less than 2% equalization rate in the town of Warsing, village, everywhere. So some people's properties are assessed recently, and other people like me, my property hasn't been assessed since 1962. So I'm paying taxes on what my property was assessed at in 1962, which is one of the reasons I moved here, for the low taxes. So I didn't want to be mortgage poor. Okay? I wanted to pay low mortgage, low taxes, have money left over to do other things with. Rational economic decision. Well, here we go. Number 4. The vast majority of the towns in the state reval their properties at least once every 5 years. The town of Warsing has ignored this mandate, resulting in unfair and inequitable tax assessments of our property. Number 5. These same candidates are also advising residents that a reval in township will result in an overall increase of taxes, which is exactly what it will. This is a bold-faced lie. A reval of the properties in the town will not result in an increase of the revenues by raised taxes, but will ensure a collection of taxes will be fairly and equitably distributed amongst the properties throughout the town. So here's a lawyer, a politician, trying to get in the realm of a wannabe public finance economist. And I ask that you stay tuned in the next video because I'm going to run out of time before I'm going to post this on video. Hold that thought. Equitable distribution, wannabe public finance economist. Hold that thought and join me in the next video below.